It's time for this week's Parting Shots.
When a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin shot Jacob Blake, America slowed down and the NBA took a full stop. Tuesday, it was announced that the officer who shot Blake, leaving him paralyzed, would not be indicted. The Pistons and Bucks took a knee before their game Wednesday, as did the Celtics and Heat, protesting both the prosecutor's decision and Wednesday's riot at the U.S. Capitol. There was probably no gain for players to stop playing like they did this summer, as their point was made, and they extracted some concessions from owners to help them with various social causes. But it should be stated loudly that what happened Tuesday is as big of a problem as what happened this summer. Had Blake been shot and anyone could reasonably presume that the officer in question would face justice, there would have been no protest months ago, and the case would have been the same after George Floyd was killed. The response to these police-involved shootings and killings stems from what doesn't happen after these incidents. The terrible knowledge that a legal system that sees state-sanctioned punishment as a deterrent hardly ever punishes officers who kill citizens, even when they're obviously wrong. The killings are tragedies. What happens in response to them is negligence at best and, at worst, encouragement. Much of the world stood outraged this summer. Many of those who weren't were at least given pause. But what's truly infuriating is what happened this week. It's bad enough how easily we can be killed. What's worse is how hard it is to make people care that it happens.
I've always been a fan of a 4-team playoff in college football, but 2020 changed my mind. Certainly expansion of the playoff could create more blowouts between the best of the best against a team that may not be at the same level, but it will also create more games with meaning. When I was a kid, I remember January 1st was sacred because of incredible bowl games featuring matchups between programs that were huge brands that rarely faced each other otherwise. Now, bowl games are forgotten, invisible, poorly played exhibitions devoid of true impact. I want the magic of college football to continue for more fan bases. I want success to spread to more schools, allowing for better recruiting, sales pitches about potential, and eventually creating more balance across the college football landscape. I want epic endings that shock the world and at least the chance for a Cinderella story every once in a blue moon that will create highlights rewatched for generations. Even if expansion gives us the same championship matchups, why would I not want more time to enjoy the dramatic walk down the yellow brick road before I finally get to the land of Oz?
A classic American mantra states, "You come at the king, you best not miss." For Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry, dubbed King Henry on social media, here's hoping they continue to do so. In a quarterback-driven league, the former Heisman Trophy winner is a physical and mythical tour de force. Defenders ricochet off him like pinballs, his runs are more powerful than the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs, and his stiff arms with Category 5 like hurricane force are an incredible signature, similar to a Simone Biles dismount or a LeBron James chase down block. And then there's those ridiculous numbers. The 8th back ever to top 2,000 yards, league leader in carries, yards, rushing touchdowns, and yards per game for the second consecutive season. His 1,268 first down yards would have been third in total rushing yards. And in his last 2 games against Baltimore, Tennessee's playoff opponent this weekend, he's averaging 29 carries for 164 yards and that one back-breaking walk-off touchdown. Derrick Henry won't win MVP this year. He'll likely fall behind or in between Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, both of whom had phenomenal seasons this year. But the NFL's most fascinating man deserves some votes too, because who knows when we'll see somebody like him again.
No great athlete has been a more serious contender for the highest office in the land than Bill Bradley. When he ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2000, he was soundly defeated by Al Gore. But many believe that if Bradley had run in 1992, when some urged him to, he might have won the whole thing. Like very few figures in American history, Bradley was talked about as presidential timber from his youth, and then for 4 decades, from his days at Princeton to his Hall of Fame career with the Knicks, to his 3 terms as a model of seriousness and principle in the Senate. So this week, when the Capitol was overrun by a mob, I thought about Bill Bradley. He was appalled, as he told us on Outside the Lines.
I never thought I would ever see a president invite a mob to the nation's capital, incite them in front of the White House to go and assault the people's house. I never thought I would ever see that, but that's exactly what happened.
Where do we go from here? Can sports help? Bradley says yes.
What does sports have to offer? It still gives us a picture of what is possible when we work together. Nobody wins a championship alone. We're all in this together in this country, just as we're all in this together if you're on a team.
At the end of a week in which we all saw things we never thought we'd see, we could do worse than to heed the words of Bill Bradley, one of the ultimate team players and one of our most dedicated public servants.